in your opinion, with your experience talking to curators and artists, do you believe that they are well equipped to handle adding XR experiences into their toolbox? Or at this point in time, is it an afterthought? And if they're not equipped, which makes sense because nobody expected that from them a few years ago. So I'm guessing, I see you nodding, so I'm guessing it's no. What skills do you think are going to be needed in the future in order to be able to make the most of these technologies that are just now coming of age? Because we've seen immense leaps in the past 5 or 6 years in terms of the technologies involved, but we are still some ways away from fully seamless experiences or whatever that technology might hold for the next 5 or 6 years. So people coming into artists right now trying to figure out what they want to, how they want to express themselves, and curators who want to bring that experience. So what do you think what those skills might be? Because obviously they don't have to necessarily be technical. I mean,
I think in some instances there are teams working in some museums that are on this. They get it. They are experts in and of themselves. I think the team at the V&A, for instance, their digital team is immense. Like they produce really beautiful work in partnership with other agencies. I think, however, in the majority, the digital skills are lacking, and I think it's about taking what they've started to begrudgingly do in 2D and making it 3D. So understanding basic photogrammetry, understanding the spatialization of data, but actually understanding that that's the translation of what they already do. They already manage a space. They already, make conscious decisions about which painting sits next to which sculpture. Like, they design space. That's what they absolutely do. What we need to do as a sector is to help them translate those skills. So, by giving them good tools, which means they don't need to learn about coding, giving them good ways of managing space. But then the other thing is there being enough things to look on the market at, to compare to, and go, oh, I really like what they did. Somebody in the chat asked if there was a list of XR museum and art galleries. There isn't, that I'm aware of. I've spoken to, and I've been doing research into this space now for 2 years, and I've spoken to 2 people who are also doing research, and between us we've got quite a good list, but there isn't a public one. I think there isn't enough work that I'm aware of. A lot of the film festivals, actually. So I live in Sheffield, and we have DocFest. So I worked at Alternate Realities 2 years ago, the last time we had a festival, an in-person festival, and Venice and Rain Dance. They're all places that collect these stories. So at Rain Dance a couple of years ago, I saw a beautiful piece about the cave paintings in France. I forget where, but that's a space that human beings are not physically allowed to go to. So a 360 documentary in that space was spectacular, but you could only see it by being in London in October in 2019. Like, I don't know where else you can see that piece. So again, distribution will massively help, because then individuals working in museums can go, oh, I see that, I understand now what the possibilities are. Here's what I could potentially do with my work and with my specialty. But there's not enough of that around at the moment, with very few notable exceptions.
Yeah, we had a chance to. I will take the other side of the coin and speak about more about artists. So we had the chance, and then I will meet you on the festival and the distribution. But we had the chance to work with a lot of artists all around the world. Very famous artists, less famous artists, and we it was always interesting. And there is not like a specific tool set or expertise which is required, because every artist brought their point of view, and that's what is interesting. And very often, there has been this first wave of VR XR that mostly met in the festival that you mentioned, of people which are VR makers, and thought that they had invented everything, and it's wrong. It's false. I mean, very often, someone that has no experience with VR or XR will come and bring a point of view, an idea that will make something that will be interesting, and that you would have said, no, it won't work. This is you are not respecting the grammar, or whatever, and this is wrong. You need the artist and the diversity, and there is no specific tool set required. Of course, as a technologist, you bring a part of the equation of the solution, but the artist bring the other parts, and that's the mix of all this which makes it very interesting. Actually, we did with Matt Colley show. We did. There is a series of interview on BBC. Maybe I can put the link, where the goal of the show was to discuss about this relationship between the artists and the technologists. There is also the fact that artists have always been innovators. When not that long time ago, when you wanted to paint, you had to do you had to be a little bit of a chemist, and find pigments, and that was quite technical, being an artist. You always, through the ages, you always had to master technical know-how, which was not something that everyone was doing. So there is this culture and this ability in artists, I think. After, about distribution, yeah, clearly it's the main issue. Since 2015, the only place where you can go see those contents are festivals, and mostly movie festivals. So Mostra de Venise, Cannes, South by Southwest, Sundance, Rendance, Sheffield, all those places. It's the only place where you can have access to the content, because there is no distribution, because that was complicated, because no one, for example, had the equipment. Now it's a little bit less the case anymore. I mean, Oculus changed a lot of things. At the same time, it's opening a lot, and it's closing at the same time, because they are building a very proprietary ecosystem, which is really bad for the industry in general. But at the same time, thanks to this, we have a lot of people that have a device and that actually have access to VR. So it's a pain, but yeah, distribution is everything.
I feel like that friction is so prevalent. Like the access that Facebook, that Meta has to a broad audience, the fact that they developed a piece of hardware which is attractive to a lot of people, is really exciting for us, because we've been a niche of a niche for so long, and now one of our games is on Oculus Store, and we saw traction over Christmas like we've not seen before. Like, there are more people with headsets at home, so it's an exciting start. But then you have that intrinsic link to commerciality and commercial thinking, and the fact that I've been told that, you know, arts is not a focus for the platform, it's not a focus for the store, and curators kind of sits between things. It's between art, between education, but it doesn't quite fit in any of their verticals. So we become very beholden to the money men, and that's a massive challenge.